when West Indies was bowled out for 27 by Australia at Sabina Park. And as the fire was lit on the West Indies Cricket Association, the president came out and said they are going to have an emergency meeting to plan a way forward. After more than several weeks, there was no meeting, and so it was converted from an emergency meeting to a cricket summit. As always, Cricket West Indies seems to be going round and round and round and round in circles. No progress forward. Same old, same old, same old. After the summit, they had a press conference. Coming out of that press conference were some comments by Clive Lloyd, Brian Lara, Enoch Lewis, and the director of cricket. This morning, we will look back at those comments and analyze them to see if there was any real substance. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the #1 cricket channel in the Caribbean. I thank you for being here. I appreciate your company, and I look forward to you as we talk about these interesting times in West Indies cricket. Joining me this morning is no other than Basil Butcher Jr. with his vast knowledge about cricket all over the world. From cricket then and now, welcome to the show once more, Basil Butcher Jr.
Good morning, Carlton. Good morning to your viewers, and thank you again for having me.
Yes, I really appreciate you being here this morning, Basil. And when I think about who are the possible persons that I could have on the show this morning, you comes out as a man with your vast knowledge and understanding of what is going on in West Indies cricket. And also, we are also going to look at what is happening in USA cricket. So this morning, not only West Indies cricket, but USA cricket, Basil. Basil, when we look at that press conference, before I display some of the quotes from those individuals, what was your general impression from that press conference?
Look, firstly, the statement from the chairman of the cricket committee, Enoch Lewis, I found it to be very disappointing, and that is putting it mildly. For someone who had been around in administration for all those years, to saying that we are looking for ideas and so on. So then what were you doing all those years, and the challenges there and so on? So what were you doing all those years that you want to know what the challenges are, right? You know, the other things that were said in the press conference, they didn't hit anything, because everything that was said are things that many of us have been lamenting about for decades. So overall, the statements I heard coming out of there, nothing to write home about.
Let's look at one of those statements, Basil Butcher Jr. And this one is from the director of cricket. I have two partitions to the statements that he made. This was not all of the statement, but this will give you a broad picture of the statement that the director of cricket made. He said, the strategies have to look at in the entirety of our cricket system. The first part is identifying the challenges. Now, with all due respect, Basil, as you mentioned there, Enoch Lewis and now Mile Bascom, the first part is identifying the challenges. Are they telling me that up to this time, they have not identified the challenges with West Indies cricket, Basil?
Well, that's why I said it was most disappointing. Because here, I live in the United States. I visit Guyana semi-regularly. I've been to Barbados a few times. And I am intimately aware of the challenges from ground all the way up to the top in West Indies cricket. And if you count yourself as an administrator within that structure that you are discussing this now, what were you doing all the time in that structure? I would have to ask you the question.
And following up on what you said, Basil, even the statement, because he said, coming up with strategies in details. So the challenge is we have to understand the challenges at every level.
Yes.
And our production pipeline. Well, you know, there's a saying about pipeline in Jamaica, but let's not go there, especially in this season. But the production pipeline and coming up with strategies in details. Now, the director of cricket has been there, I think, about 2 years now, Basil, right?
Yeah, probably.
And we have seen him implement a number of changes. Then what was the background to your objective in implementing those changes? What were those changes expected to solve? What problem were those changes expected to solve? And how was West Indies cricket expected to benefit from those changes, Basil? I know probably I'm asking the wrong person, but I'm just trying to pick your brain here.
Yeah, no, your point is right on time, because actually the very first time I had the opportunity to be on a cricket a radio program with the director of cricket, I asked him about the visit which he, the then high performance manager, Graham West, and the coaching manager, the Australian guy, I forgot his name now, they all went to the various territories to meet with the franchise head officials. Well, I knew more about what happened when they went to Guyana because it was in the public forum. And so I asked him, did you meet with the other stakeholders in Guyana to understand the challenges they face at the ground level coming up? Answer was no. I said, did you witness the practice sessions of the Guyana franchise team? The answer again was no. And then he said, so then you only met with the cricket board heads, right? So in your view, was that a successful visit? The answer was yes. So now, having you done that and you coming back with this, I find it ironic, because I have said this for a long time. I felt, and I've said it to you, that somebody or somebodies should go and visit every territory for not 2 or 3 days, for at least a week or even 2 weeks, to one, go and observe from the grassroots what you're doing with the youngsters, the clubs, and also what you're doing at the franchise level, looking at coaching methods, practice methods, etc. So you get a clear picture of where there's disconnect in what we are doing in relationship to all the places around the world. I've been saying that forever, not going to just meet with the franchise officials, because you're not going to hear what a person at the club level or somebody like yourself, Carlton, who deal with youngsters, coaching the youngsters, or somebody coaching them, the challenges they face.
Yes. I recall, Basil, that during, I think it was 2024. It was either 24 or 23. Can't remember the exact year. But what I remember clearly, because I was a bit perturbed, I was a bit disturbed and disappointed that the Cricket West Indies president and the delegation was in Jamaica while the All Ireland Schoolboy final was playing. And not even for a minute, one of them turned up to the match. And that was very disappointing for me. I don't know if it's a case that they weren't aware of it, but they should have been aware of it. Somebody should tell them that it is going on. So maybe it's not a failure on their part. Maybe it's a failure on probably the JCA part.
Right.
Whatsoever it be, though, I was very disappointed that the most important schoolboy cricket match in Jamaica was playing, and the Cricket West Indies president did not turn up. And let me contrast that to you. Do you know that the president of the JFF was at the match? You understand me? The president of the Jamaica Football Association was at the match. But look at this now. He said, still with Miles Bascom, we had a lot of very fruitful discussions. Well, and this is the thing, Basil, would love to know what comes out of those discussions, because up to this time, we don't know. We are just hearing things and we don't know what were the recommendations.
Exactly.
Now, but he said that we have a lot of very fruitful discussions, suggestions, and recommendations. Our role now is to figure out how we put all of that together for the betterment of West Indies cricket. Well, he's in the position, he has to figure out that, but we'll still like to know what are those recommendations and suggestions, Basil.
Yes, I mean, one of the things they said, they have to take this now to they have a working group where they will, as you said, figure out, put together, and then they will budget, they will come up with a budget and present to the board. However, at least you could have said to us, the public, who is the constituency of West Indies cricket, give us a synopsis of some of these recommendations, so at least we could see really what was recommended, you know, because again, maybe why they might be, I am just speculating why they probably did not, because you probably would have heard a lot of recommendations and suggestions that has been made for decades, and we would say, why you spend all this money on a 2-day conference or whatever you want to call it to regurgitate these same suggestions and recommendations that's been bandied about the region for decades.
So, Basil, you are saying that they do not have any confidence in the recommendations and the suggestions that were made. So they are probably hiding it from all the stakeholders, because if you have confidence in what was said, if you think that your ideas were novel, because you know, Basil, that on this channel, I have listed many recommendations.
Right.
I can come out in the open with my recommendations. Persons can agree with them or disagree with them, but they are there out in the open. They are well thought out, you know. So if these recommendations are well thought out, there's nothing wrong with putting them on the table and say, these are the recommendations. We are going to work through them. But probably say they have listed 10 recommendations. The board may say, you know, we can only go with 5. But we want to know the 10 that was listed, and we want the board to tell us why they prioritize 5 and not go on with all 10. So we need to know the recommendations that were coming out, Basil.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say they're not confident in them. I was just jokingly saying that maybe we would have heard recommendations that you and many others have made for a long time, right? And the question would be, well, you guys are the ones who are the administrators. How come you did not have these recommendations before? You see? And so that might be why, could be, you know, but it's disappointing that at least we did not get a synopsis of what some of those recommendations, as they said, 100 or so recommendations, at least give us a synopsis.
Yeah, yes, group them, even to group them, Basil.
Yes, because some of them, yes, exactly. Some could be in a specific group, and so even as 100, it might just come out overall as 10.
Yes. Brian Lara is a legend of not only West Indies cricket, but of world cricket.
Yes.
He has brought tremendous joy to the hearts and mind of millions of people all over the world.
Yes.
There's no doubt about the class of Brian Lara.
Without a
We are
doubt.
not here now examining the ability of Brian Lara. That's not
Mhm.
what we're doing.
Mhm.
We are just analyzing this statement that the great man made. So Brian Lara said back in the days, where skill was the prominent factor, we excel. But the game has evolved, particularly with technology and analytics. We must now shift our focus towards these areas. The first part there, Basil, back in the days when skill was the prominent factor, we excelled. But I want to disagree with Brian Lara on that because skill and the execution of the skill are still the prominent factor in a game
Exactly.
of cricket.
Exactly. I found that. I
Even
found. Go ahead.
even
Go ahead.
back then,
Hmm.
when there was no computer, no algorithm bot, the greatest computer of all used to analyze player. That is the brain.
Yes.
We used to work out players in details as a team. We come together even in our local cricket. We work out players. We have discussion about them. So while I agree that the technology has evolved
Hmm.
and we should embrace the technology,
Yes.
skill and the execution of that skill is still, yes, Brian Lara, is still the prominent factor when it comes to playing a cricket match. You cannot get away with that. Technology will enhance it. Analyzing, because let me give you a clear example. I think it was against Pakistan. Don't remember the bowler name now. I think it's Riyad Ahmed bowling to Casey Carty.
Hmm.
Casey Carty was not picking the googly. Clearly was not picking the googly. He get bowled down between the gate. That's where the technology and the analysts come in for me. But
Hmm.
you still need the skill to counter it because Casey Carty need to go back and spend hours watching what Riyad Ahmed is doing when he's letting go the ball
Hmm.
and recognize when he let it go like this is what happened. When he let it go like this is what happened, so to speak. So he studied that. But although you have the technology and the analysts to study it, you still need the skill to counter it. Am I right, Basil?
Yes, I found this statement by Lara somewhat confusing because we will argue, and we anybody who wants to argue against this, I would say they're delusional. The primary problem with West Indies cricketers today is the lacking of skill and execution, not the technology and analytics, because they have access to that. The issue with the technology and analytics is that as at the international level, they have access to that in spades. The issue is technology and analytics. Is it to be it is to for it to be integrated along with skill development at the lowest levels of our cricket, right? And what you're saying is exactly correct. Because look, he can't pick the googly or whatever. So he has to go and enhance his skills of being able to look at a guy's hand. It's not an easy thing to do, to pick out of the hand. He has to go and develop that skill. That is a skill in itself, right? So I found Lara's statement a bit confusing. And then another one, you're talking about the players of the past. If you go and speak to Sir Andy Roberts today, I just using him as an example, and you ask him about all the various batters he played against throughout his career, he could give you chapter and verse of all of them.
Thank you.
Because those guys did not have the benefit of the video, so they had to use this to remember what batsman A was good or not good at doing.
Basil, you said that it's a skill to pick the delivery out of the hand.
Yes.
But in your days when you were growing up, in my days when we were growing up, every batsman seemed to can pick it. It seems so natural. So why what is the difference now?
I think, you see, because that was emphasized when we were young. So we were told to pick out the hand and what cues to look for. I mean, you ask these guys today, are those things practiced? You know, because you don't see too many of our guys using their feet. Because if you don't use you're not gonna use your feet if you don't have an idea as what coming out of the guy hand. Otherwise, you just running down the track, as we would say. And the bowler saying, well, you got a message, and the ball gonna pass you got stopped out, right? So you gotta, because you would always hear about the players of the past, those who had that skill, talk about it and the advantages of it. So because it was so imbued in our cricketing as part of the deal in playing spin, is something you know. If a guy bowling, you're looking to see the back of the hand. If you see the back of the hand, you know it's a Google. It's most likely a googly, right? But you see the other thing, you know, is a leg break or something of the sort. So you were taught to look for those things.
Yes. Basil, another one of our legends, the man who has won the first 2 World Cup and that magnificent century in the finals, you know, and we cannot ignore the pleasure and the joy that he has brought to our art. And again, we are looking at the statement, not the man. The man is a legend, Clive Lloyd. They were very clear about the things that are needed. Who is they, Basil? Is it the cricketers who I don't think should have been at this meeting? You may disagree with me or you may agree, but I don't think that they should be at the meeting, you know, because we have seen player power at the forefront of cricket West Indies. An impression that I'm getting is that the administrators of West Indies cricket are literally afraid of these players. That's the impression I'm getting. But nonetheless, let's go back to this. Who's it they is talking? They were very clear about the things that are needed. It was very clear from what was presented why they are important. So I look forward to the results in the future. This is ambiguity 101, Basil.
Yeah, I think though, the day he is speaking of is Sammy and the analysts. Because if you remember, at the start of his comment, he talked about how he was very impressed with the presentation by Sammy and the analysts. So Sammy probably gave all the logarithms and the analysts about what the top teams in the world are doing, and this is what we need to do, and so on and so forth. But again, we come back to that thing again: skill and execution. I don't care what the top teams in the world are doing. Our focus has to be on skill and execution, because whomever we match up against, we have to devise a plan as to how we're going to beat them. Not what the best teams in the world are doing, how we're going to beat team A, team B. And we then put our skills and execution plan together to win the game, right?
Yes. Basil, I heard Michael Douglas. I got this from Michael Douglas during my original thoughts. And Michael Douglas is saying that our head coach, Darren Sammy, think it's just a matter of cutting and pacing. So Australia is doing this, England is doing this, India is doing this. All I need to do is to cut and pace it, you know, and we are really barking up the wrong tree there, Basil.
Yeah, I disagreed with that. It's cool to look at what the best teams are doing, because there's always clues.
In fact, you should.
Yes, there's always clues in success. However, it's a cricket match. You have to play to beat the other team. You got to look at how the team in front of you is playing, match up your skills, and your execution, how we're going to beat that team. Over the long run, if you are able to do it, like you remember you said one time, you want to see 10 in a row, 15 in a row, and those kind of things, are 14 out of 14 out of 20, or 14 out of 18, and those kind of things. You will see the trends as what you are doing would be matching up to what the best teams in the world are doing. So it's not to focus on what the best teams in the world are doing. You got to focus on how you're going to be team A, team B, and you go along and you will see the trends. And that's where I think, in my view, that emphasis what they're talking about. No.
The next thing that Clive Lloyd mentioned is the financial situation. And he said that when we were in the ascendancy, everybody wanted to play against us. And we became the cash cow for territories like England, Australia, and India. Now we need a better share of the pie, Basil. I look at that and I agree with the first part of the statement there. I agree with the statement, you know. I agree with that statement from Clive Lloyd because we were milk back in those days. And I do not blame Australia, England, or India because if I can milk you, I am going to milk you. You are asking me now to depend on the conscience of India, England, and Australia. And we know that if you depend on the conscience of people, you are barking down the wrong tree. It is the same thing now. Look at India, look at Australia, and look at England. And look at our players who are not playing for the West Indies, but are going to play T20 franchise cricket. We are depending on their conscience to play for us, to say, well, West Indies cricket gave you the platform. You are for the West Indies. Show some pride, have some conscience and represent us. No, these players are saying we are going where the money is. So we cannot be depending on England, Australia, and India to have a conscience to give us some money now, while our players are not demonstrating that conscience. Mark you, back in the days when we were being milked as a cash cow, it's our fault that allows ourselves to be milked as cash cow. We should have negotiated better, Basil. What's your view?
Yes. It's ironic because I remember being in a conversation with Sir Clive. I was part of the group, and he was and this is in the early 90s, mind you, and he was lamenting at that time the inability of West Indies Cricket Board to negotiate television rights. Because why? We didn't have the experience. That was something new. Because if you remember, the very first televised series to the West Indies was back in 1990 with England, Sky TV, right? This was something new. The whole landscape changed now with the advent of television rights. And I proffered in that discussion, well, they're right there at the doorstep of the United States, who have many experienced people, franchises, leagues, and many people who are expert in that field. Why don't we hire somebody to do so for us? Because we are obviously amateurs. And maybe then we would have gotten a better share of the deal had West Indies Cricket Board saw that the getting people from the United States sporting things to do so. I will argue this. Had we integrated ourselves to learn from elite sport organization and leagues here in the United States, from player development, because all sport, player development is universal. You just take it specific to the sport. Scouting, sports marketing, negotiating television rights, and all those practices. I would argue, had we leaned to get some of those, bring those principles into our cricket all the way back then, our cricket would not be in the place it is today.
Thank you very much, Basil. Let us look on the final comment. Enoch Lewis, who is the chairman of the Cricket Strategic and Officiating Committee.
Fancy name.
Fancy name. We expect that, this is what he said. I'm sorry, it should be on the screen. We expect that some of these recommendations will be executed over the short term and others over longer term, as input from other stakeholders will be essential. Now, who are those other stakeholders, Basil? I think the fans must be included in this.
Yeah.
You cannot be asking us, the fans and the Caribbean people, to be always supporting West Indies cricket, and you are not willing to share with us. You are not willing to listen to us. How are you going? Why should we support you if you are not listening to us? Why, Basil?
Yeah, I think also within that stakeholders, you want to get lower level administrators from the club level, and people like you dealing with age group children. You also would want to get coaches like yourself and others at the lower levels to bring input, because I have a friend who is a prominent coach, and one of his complaints has been the lack of continuing coaching education for coaches in the Caribbean, so they can always upskill themselves to the latest things, the latest trends, and so on that's in their profession. As we all know, when you, and I can tell you this as my profession as a coach here in the US, I have to take continuing education every year to maintain my certifications. If I don't, I lose my certifications. So I'm always upskilling myself. And that should be something that should be prominent amongst our coaches, because a lot of these guys or gals think that, oh, if I get a level 3, I have arrived. No, you haven't arrived. You've just gotten to one stop.
There are two things I want to say. Dave Cameron once said that majority of the PE teachers,
Yes,
and I think he was referring to Jamaica specifically.
yes, I remember hearing that.
I don't know if he was referring to the region, but he
No,
said
he's
that the
talking about
majority,
Jamaica.
yeah, and I use the word majority, which is
Mhm.
different from all.
Mhm.
Majority of the PE teachers who are females, the only thing they know about cricket is to score the cricket book.
Mhm.
And they are not attired, when they go to school to teach PE, they are not attired in the right gear, because they wear their high heel shoes and their pretty dress. And so they are ineffective.
Yes.
Now, I can confirm what Dave Cameron said.
Mhm.
He was dead right,
Mhm.
because I have been to the primary schools and I have seen this for myself.
Right.
Majority of those teachers, they do not know anything about cricket. You wonder how they graduated from GC Foster College.
Mhm.
You know, the second thing is too, you have a set of them who are afraid of the sun. It's a really minority that really love the cricket and is really
Right.
putting in the effort. You
Right.
know, so
Right.
yes. And this, the second point I want to make, and this happened back in the early 90s, which I don't know if you're aware of it, Basil, but back in the early 90s, there was this push to train as many coaches as possible in the West Indies. There was this big push. And it was a push to get certification.
Mhm.
But application, if you understand me,
Yes.
applying, the ability to apply what was being thought was not the priority. So you have a large number of coaches in the West Indies with them level 1 and their level 2, who they are not up to date, as you are saying, because what they learned back in the early to mid 90s, those methodology, although fundamental and basic, as Brian Lara said, the game has evolved,
Yeah.
and they have not evolved with the code with it. And many
Mhm.
of those coaches are not even in the system nowadays anyhow, Basil.
Mhm. Yeah. I'll tell you this too, from a Guyana perspective. I remember several years ago they tried to reintroduce school cricket back into Guyana, and it was a brief foray. And I had I had the ability, because I think I read some articles on about what was going on, and there was one gentleman in the thread that I was speaking with, the comments. He was a school teacher at one of the prominent high schools in Georgetown. And he said to me, Mr. Butcher, the problem is this, because what was being lamented, 99% of the boys playing were pelted. I mean, pelting, literally pelted. There was proper bowling actions.
And at Bantain, you know, Basil, but we saw a lot of bowlers coming out of Guyana who are actually throwing the cricket ball.
And maybe that's the problem. And so he said to me, he said, Mr. Butcher, the problem is this. In the times when I was growing up in school, we had a games master who had some experience in cricket, may have played the game at some whatever level. So he could teach you the fundamentals of bowling or batting, etc. But he said today, just like you said in Jamaica, the majority of the teachers are female and they don't have that expertise. So that's why these youngsters have nobody. So for them, pelting is the way to bowl a cricket ball. And that thing that lasted, that school cricket thing lasted, must be one competition, and then it went away. So looking from then, you understand what the challenges are, you know, in probably other territories, but specific Guyana, where we don't have any school cricket at all right now.
Basil, going to come to the comment now. Good morning, Mr. Casanova. Oh, Mr. Casanova, I'm happy that you think it's a beautiful morning, because you know that one last night that I know you never want Trinidad to win. Good morning, Athena. I know that you're enjoying yourself. Athena, Jamur Small, greetings to you. Sheldon Smith, greetings to you. If you come St. Lucia to look at local cricket, you'll be wasting your free will. So that I guess it's non-existent there then.
Yeah, I mean, on that point, you know, in St. Kitts, there's no club cricket.
Yeah?
There's no club cricket in St. Kitts.
No club cricket in St. Kitts. Yes.
I've heard that being said. There's no club cricket in St. Kitts.
Boy, shocking. But yet still, persons want these countries to go on their own.
Yeah,
you hear from time to time that persons are saying that we need to go on our own. But yet still, there's no club cricket in some of these territories. So how do they play now? Boy, the thought process is.
Yeah.
They even talk about joining forces with US. And Mr. Casanova, we are coming to US shortly, but that's a wrong thing.
Yes.
Something we have been talking about, US and Canada could be playing with us. Yeah, I do not have an issue with US and Canada playing with us, but I think that they are in level 2 now, Basil, so they can't no longer play in our competition, right? They would have to be at level 3 because are below.
What do you mean level 2 or 3?
The US and Canada they are in the next group of countries below the full members.
Yeah, so they're associate members. Yeah, they're
associate members, but they are top tier associate members.
Yes.
So they are in the top tier of the associate members.
What they call divisions. You have divisions, yes.
Divisions, yes, just different words. So because they are in division 1 top tier, they no longer can play as a country in our domestic competition.
No, they can't play in the domestic because it's not international cricket. There is no restrictions for that.
So they can play?
Yeah, they are allowed to
play as an associate. Well, my understanding is that the top tier teams cannot play.
No.
Lower down can play, but the top tiers cannot play.
No, they can't play in our domestic.
So like Jersey can play and so on, but the top tier teams.
But you won't want Jersey to come and play domestic because it won't be helping us because they are such a low level. You would want the better. That's why some people have said things like we should bring Oman and some of those other top, Oman who got plenty money, they could come and play and so on to play in our domestic tournaments. Yes, there's no restrictions to that. at all.
Well, I need to check it out because my understanding was the top tier teams cannot come. The
Okay,
top tier of the
well,
association.
if that is so now, Carlton, that would be news to me.
Yeah, okay. Suggestion sounds great, said Athena, but what about the implementations? Big thought that, Athena.
Yeah.
Anthony Jervis, good morning to you. It's a pleasure having you here. Mango Reef. Yes, Athena, please hit the like button. Good morning to you. Yes, man. Thank you, Larry Prince. I appreciate it. Jamor Small said, we got cool and smooth tournament other than cricket. It's all time in St. Kitts. We got cool and smooth. Okay. Now, Basil, in recent times, there's been a lot of development in US cricket. And although cricket has been scheduled to return to the Olympics in 2028, there are now some actions on the part of USA cricket that appears to be jeopardizing this. And in recent times, we see they have taken action against ACE. ACE is the American Cricket Enterprise.
Right.
So in recent times, and just to summarize what they said, so I'm going to put these comments on the screen so that we can read them, and I'm asking you to react to them.
Carlton, take off the Enoch Lewis comment because it's still up there. So it's blocking part of this thing.
Yeah, yes, I saw it. Yes, Basil, I saw it.
There you go. That's better. Yeah.
Yes, man. I was just about to do it when you said it. So here we go now, Basil. USA Cricket, USAC for short, has terminated their commercial agreement with American Cricket Enterprise, ACE for short, the parent company of Major League Cricket, which is 3 seasons old. ACE, in reply, called the termination unlawful and wrongful. ACE further said it has fully complied with the contractual obligations under the agreement with USAC, which is USA Cricket, who have no grounds to terminate the agreement. Now, this is what USAC said. This is USA Cricket. The breaches spanned critical areas, including financial commitment, infrastructure development. Sorry about that. Where's this thing gone? It just got.
No, it's still there. Still there. I'm seeing it.
But I am not seeing it on my screen. I don't know what's wrong. I'm not seeing it.
I'm seeing it.
You want to read it for me,
Yes,
Basil?
yes.
Because I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. I'm seeing it again.
Okay.
So the breaches spans critical areas, including financial commitments, infrastructure development, organizational structure, and governance responsibilities. So these are the things that USA Cricket is saying that the American Cricket Enterprise has breached. They said that ACE has consistently failed to meet its obligations under the agreement, which has jeopardized broader development of USA Cricket. ACE, in a reply, though, said, this is what ACE said, and I found it very interesting. ACE, in their reply, said, ACE has exceeded its financial obligations under the agreement. ACE has not only provided USAC with direct payments in full, but has also repeatedly provided USAC with additional discretionary funding and financial support to help USAC. ACE recently made an advance payment at USAC's request so that USAC could meet its staff obligations. ACE has complied with its infrastructure obligations. In fact, USAC has recognized and relied upon ACE high performance facilities for national team events, training, and workshop. Basil, over to you as a man living in the state.
Look, the first thing is in this argument between these two groups, that contract was illegal from day one. Because USA Cricket is a non-for-profit organization. What we call in the United States a 501c3 non-for-profit entity. ACE is a for-profit entity, private entity. And for ACE to be making executive or decisions in how USA cricket should be run and so on is illegal. A private organization cannot have that kind of ability to be ordering and doing things of that sort for a 501c3. It has been argued previously that that contract is illegal in its formation because it violates 501c3 laws. So all the other machinations between the two is for the birds. The contract in itself was illegal and it needed to be terminated.
So why then, Basil, if that's the case, why then USAC, USA Cricket, doesn't come out and admit that and say, we are taking these steps as a matter of governance issue, instead of coming out and making these and identifying what, according to ACE, are non-existent breaches? Because ACE actually said that we are giving USAC money to pay even their staff. Is this true, Basil?
That is what I've heard. Look, the reason why you gotta remember, the ICC had recommended or called for the total the entire board membership to resign. They were on the verge of suspending them when they had the last meeting in ICC meeting, and I have been told that CWI is who begged for them. Right? I would like to know on what grounds CWI were begging for those guys, because CWI also continues to parrot a nonsensical thing about their 400,000 registered cricketers in the United States, not even understanding the landscape of the United States. I will argue this and I would put my head on the guillotine for this. More than a 3/4 or even more of those so-called, if there is 400,000 registered cricketers, are softball cricketers. It's not hardball cricket, right?
Thank you. Let's look at the final part of the statement, Basil. This probably have something to USAC. This is according to ACE. USAC is hypocritically alleging contractual non-compliance. While asking that ACE immediately negotiate a new agreement, ACE views USAC improper conduct as nothing more than a cynical attempt to serve personal and political agendas at the expense of the US cricket community. Consistent with previous ICC and USOPC recommendations, you will tell me what USOPC recommendations is, Basil. ACE urges USAC board to resign immediately and allow professional independent board members selected by the ICC and USOPC to steer USA cricket forward. Your views on that statement, Basil?
Yeah, the last part is I mean, it's interesting. I agree with ACE, as I stated earlier, but not for this. They are not innocent bystanders in this. But yes, the USOPC is the United States Olympic something committee, right? And for you as a sporting entity within the United States, and like they want cricket to be an Olympic sport, there are certain guidelines that sporting body has to meet. And the USOPC has stated categorically that USA Cricket had not met those guidelines to be. So it had put in jeopardy the USA, because how embarrassing would be you having the Olympics in your nation and the national body has not met in the Olympic committee guidelines to be a national sporting body, which would mean your national team would not be able to participate in the Olympics as a host nation, right? So this is where this is out of this crux is where ICC was calling on suspending them, because ICC is big on this cricket coming up in the Olympics, and it would be a really a taint to them, right? I hear that CWI begged for them, and they were given a stay of execution, and they're asked to meet these guidelines by a certain time period, which those who are closer to the situation say there's no way they can even ever meet those guidelines in the given time period, because the whole situation is a joke. I mean, just to talk on this softball thing, the majority of people who have been in that board of directors of USA Cricket when this entity was formed come out to softball, not even hardball cricket. That's one of the gross contradictions. You gonna have people who are coming out of softball running hardball cricket only in the United States.
Thank you very much, Basil, and I want to thank you all for tuning in this morning. I have a event coming up at 11 o'clock, so I am pressed for time. Wish we could go into this because there's a lot happening in West Indies cricket. Sri Lanka coming here to play under 19 series. Cricket West Indies is not really introducing, but is trying to promote cricket in the Americas and in Latin America. So there's a lot going on. We'll talk about this on some of our watch-alongs coming up next week. But Basil, thank you again for being here this morning. I don't even have time to ask you for a final comment. Thank you to all the viewers. Take care of yourself. Take care of your loved one. See you in tomorrow. Take care, Basil.
All right.